Hello everyone, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Well, camp is underway. We've had a Joe Judge press conference. We've had some information about Sam Beal opting out. We've done videos on the Sam Beal situation, but we haven't done anything on the Judge press conference, and we're going to in a minute, because I would rather watch the conference, give my opinion, instead of just reading what people say on Twitter about it, because I think you should have your own opinion. I did want to answer one quick email that I got from someone. We're an opinion show. We are more of a show that gives our opinion from our unique perspective, from being in the league and working outside the league in different capacities. And it's just our opinion what we do. We don't report facts. We do sometimes try to break news, but like I said, we're an opinion show. We give our opinion. We try to have a good time. We try to have some laughs. Sometimes I may run off on the tangent about keto. I'm not even going to get into keto right now. But like I said, this is just our opinion. We hope you enjoy it. Agree, disagree. It doesn't matter. As long as you listen, leave a comment. That's what we prefer. Like I said, and we prefer disagreements because of the fact that we think it makes for better conversation and a better channel. So leave me a like, leave me a comment, leave me anything else you want to leave. I always say leave me a dislike, but then I always back it up and say, but don't leave me a dislike. I was just joking about that. But Joe Judge, let's get into the Judge press conference for a minute. I love Joe Judge because Joe Judge is just so, I'm not going to say predictable, but he's classic. He gives classic quotes. You almost expect him to say, we got to take it just one day at a time, one game at a time. We need to play our best. We need to play a full 60 minutes. He's not Belichickian or Parcellian by having his own personality. Yeah, I think that'll come later on in the season, but he's very much very cliche-esque at this point in his career, which he probably should be. And I just laugh because people are like, wow, that was just the greatest press conference that I've ever seen. He just gave so much information. No, he really didn't. He gave the information that he wanted to give, which is exactly what he should do, but he gave it in his in the Joe Judge. You got to take them one day at a time. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains. So he was very, I wouldn't say quote-esque, but he was very, very Judge. I love the one comment that I think he made. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember exactly what it was. Oh, when they were talking about different guys in the lineup, the defensive lineup, and we've talked about this before, how the Giants are going to need to play situational defenses with players with their talent. And he goes on to say, even though we have a lot of guys in the same position group, they all have different skill sets. So along with that, we have different packages we can build to base on those who the opportunity is that week. And that's exactly what we've been saying. There is skill sets that fit each of these players. None of these players have none of these players, well, not none, but a lot of these players are not 3-down players. A lot of these players, and that is my dog, he's a Bernese Mountain Dog, and he decided he wanted to be on Online Big Blue. But he goes sit up there for a minute. But a lot of these players have different talents to fit different sets. And that's just the way it is. And that's the way we're going to have to play on this team. And I just thought it was a great quote because it's something that we had been saying for a while. And then I also love his quote about Nick Gates. He gave the standard versatility and flexibility, and then he spoke about how he could play all 5 positions on the line, but, we would like him to see him compete for one position. I always laugh because I've sat in many meeting rooms and I've listened to coaches, and I always go back to the same quote: if you think you have 5 of something, you have 1 of nothing. And I'm not saying that's what Nick Gates is. He could have all the versatility and flexibility in the world. I don't know, because I haven't seen him play. No one's seen him play yet. So we can't say what he has or what he doesn't have. But like I said, I just thought that was another great quote by Judge. And I loved how he spoke about, building depth, and like I said, the different skill sets. And I like how his comment about the it's basically what they're doing right now is basically a slower version of practice. I mean, I think that's great because how much slower can you get in practice? I mean, if you ever seen an actual NFL workout when they're just in shorts and helmets, it's a pretty slow process. I mean, I'm a guy that watched 2-a-days in full pads, full contacts, in training camp. So, but I always laugh when I see these guys, in their shorts and their helmet, running around trying to figure out what they're doing. It's going to take some time. And like I said, I think that I'm not busting on Joe Judge. I think Joe Judge had a good press conference. I think Joe Judge said the things he needed to say, and then he moved on. And I think that's what a good I really think that's what a good head coach does. He doesn't get too in depth. He gives you a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of, a little bit of the, a little bit of the cliche. We've got to take them one game at a time, guys. But I think that's exactly what Judge did. And I think he is feeling his way as an NFL head coach. And like I said, this another great press conference from regards to the fact that I'm going to give you nothing. I'm really going to say nothing, but everyone's going to get pumped up about it. So I think that's awesome. Now, the Sam Beal situation, we've talked about the Sam Beal situation. We did a video on the Sam Beal situation. Sam Beal, I think, just screwed his Giant career. I think he is not going to be around. And there's Buddy again. Buddy the Wonder Dog. He's not going to, and I shouldn't call his name out because then he comes running over to the mic. He hasn't played in 3 years now, it's going to be, so I don't know what we're going to get at him after that. But my thing is, you have so many people that are panicking, saying, we need to bring in Ryan Logan, we need to bring in this guy. You keep forgetting, we're not giving love to one of our players, and that's actually Julian Love. Yes, Julian Love moved over the safety position out of necessity. Why do I seem like I'm also talking into my radio voice? This is Tim Dales of WYSP, the future of rock and roll. But you know what? We really felt like he had to move into a safety position out of necessity. We did pick him up in the 4th round out of Notre Dame. He played sparingly, like I said, in his rookie season, but he did start a few games for us, but again at the free safety position. But he is built to be a cornerback. He is more built to be a slot cornerback, if anything else. I'm sorry, he started 5 games. He's more built to be a slot quarterback because that's the position that he played in Notre Dame. I mean, while he had 37 tackles, only 1 interception, he forced a fumble, he had 3 pass defenses. I mean, he had an okay season. It took a little while to get onto the field at a longer clip or a longer rate, but he did. I said, but he was mainly a slot. He mainly played in the slot, covered the slot in college. So he is a guy that I think, while he's not the tallest guy in the world at 5'11", there's been a lot of short corners. But I think he could maybe fill in on the outside because I think that's possible, until we come up starting. And I think Corey has the opportunity to make some plays. I think, Corey made a big jump from the college that he came from into the NFL, plus all the other ancillary situation he had with, of course, getting shot and his poor friend being murdered. So he had a lot in his mind that year, but I think Corey could play, into that position as well. It's a great that we had depth at this position, but our depth is getting depleted. I just want to say this one time. I think that DeAndre Baker is 100% innocent. I think he's being framed. I think that at this point in time, the people in Broward County should just drop the charges against it because I think this is a sham prosecution, and I think we need him in training camp. I am going to say this now. I'm going to say this once. He is being framed by aliens. Think about it. Let's get him in camp because we need the body. No, I'm just joking. We just need to get some depth and some actual depth with some actual talent, not signing some free agent that was cut by 2 other teams and played 5 games for the Colts. We need some actual people, some NFL experience that come on the player. I don't care if it's going to be a 32-year-old who's going to play maybe 1 more season. I don't know who's out there on the waiver right now. I have not looked. But I think we just need to try to pick up some depth and some flexibility, sort of like what Joe Judge was saying. And I think Julian Love can fill in at times in the CB2 position, but like I said, he's more built in for the slot corner position, and Holmes I think can play more also. While Holmes is kind of a slot corner as well, I think that Holmes can also fill in at times. And again, it's going to be the whole thing that Judge is talking about, the versatility, the flexibility, the guys that, may be playing one week, they're not playing the next week because we're looking at matchups. One other thing I wanted to address really quick was I had predicted the Giants were going to go 8-8, and I said that 8-8 could potentially win the division. And I had a subscriber, I'm not going to say call me out because they didn't call me out. They said to me, why don't you tell us how 8-8 is going to win the division? And I thought that was a great question. I wish I would have wrote the gentleman's name down. And if you are listening, just drop me a line just to let me know that you were the person that said that. And I did some figuring. Hold on, let me get my figuring paper out. I did some figuring today, and I'm thinking this is going to happen. I have predicted before that the Eagles are going to kind of fall back to earth, and I think they're going to finish out at 7-9 for the season. And I was also looking at the Dallas Cowboys schedule, and like I said, I am not sold on Dak Prescott yet. I'm not sold on him running a different offense. I'm not sold on him from a lot of things. I'm not sold on the fact that he still hasn't have his contract signed. His extension signed. So I'm not feeling the love out of Dallas right now. I mean, I think that McCarthy could be the perfect coach for that team, but he also could be the worst coach for that team. So I'm thinking that the Dallas Cowboys have an opportunity to finish 9-7 or 8-8. Now, if they finish 8-8, of course, I have predicted the Giants will finish 8-8. Now, if I look at the divisional records, I have the Eagles splitting the Giants games, and I have them splitting the Dallas games, and I have them winning both Washington games. Now, in the same vein, I have the Giants, of course, splitting the Eagle games. I have them splitting the Dallas games, and I have them sweeping the Washington Redskins. So that's going to be both 4-2 records. Then I went over to the Dallas Cowboys. I have, of course, the Dallas Cowboys splitting with the Giants, splitting with the Eagles. But I have Dallas dropping one of the Washington games. And I'm going to tell you why I have them dropping one of the Washington games, because I think it's an interesting game, because I think it's going to be a trap game. It's the game after Arizona on October 25th. It's going to be at Washington. It's after they finish playing Arizona at home. I just have a feeling, you always have a feeling, and I have that feeling all the time with the Giants, that there's going to be a trap game. And I think this is their trap game, and I think they're going to lose that game, and I think they're going to finish out in division 3-3. So, of course, if the Giants and the Cowboys both finish out at 8-8, they will go off divisional records, and then, it'll be 4-2 against 3-3. So there you go. That's how the New York Giants are going to make the playoffs. And again, this is Ted with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could subscribe, if you could ring that bell, I think you know what that means. That'd be awesome.